Board of Directors rescheduled meetings of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, New Jersey Transit Rail Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Bus Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Mercer, Inc., and New Jersey Transit Morris, Inc.
At this time, Mark Easler will deliver the public safety announcement.
Good evening. At New Jersey Transit, your safety is our highest priority. Please listen to these safety instructions in case of an emergency. In an emergency, announcements will be made over the loudspeaker. The primary exit for the location is the stairwell located in the lobby adjacent to the elevators. There is a second staircase through that door. There is a defibrillator and a first aid kit located near the elevator. Fire extinguishers are located in the front and back of this room. Thank you and have a safe day.
Thank you.
Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Chair Gutierrez, Scacchetti, and board members. I will now take roll call. Chair Gutierrez, Scacchetti.
Here.
Board Member Caulfield.
Here.
Board Member Ajmani. Here. Board Member Castillo. Thank you. Next is the open public meetings notice. Adequate notice of today's rescheduled meetings of the Board of Directors of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, New Jersey Transit Rail Operations, New Jersey Transit Bus Operations, New Jersey Transit Mercer, and New Jersey Transit Morris has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and Public Law 2018, Chapter 162. The meetings will occur concurrently. Notices were filed on April 4, 2019 with the Secretary of State. These notices were sent to newspapers of general distribution, posted in the main entrance of New Jersey Transit headquarters, published on the corporation's website, and sent to each individual, agency, and organization that requested such notice. The meetings are viewable on the corporation's website in real time and will be video recorded, archived, and made available to the public. Minutes will also be archived and published on the website. Thank you.
May I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, contract negotiations, the status of pending and anticipated litigation, and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. We will return shortly.
Roll call. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti.
Here.
Board Member Caulfield. Here. Board Member Ajmani. Board Member Castillo. Board Member Greaves.
Here.
Thank you.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2019 board meetings?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Executive Director Corbett, will you present the Executive Director's monthly report?
Indeed, I will. Good evening, Chair and members of the board. I would like to start with the highlights from a number of events this past month. And particularly last month, we hosted a standing room only event right here in this room with prime contractors, small and disadvantaged business enterprises, DBEs. We showcased more than $800 million in upcoming capital construction projects and opportunities to do business with New Jersey Transit. We had a spectacular response with an overflow crowd of approximately 150 industry representatives attending. Among those joining me in addressing the session was New Jersey's Chief Diversity Officer, Hester Agudosi, who highlighted the commitment of diversity and expanding opportunities in the contracting pool. When I arrived last February, I expressed my personal commitment to diversity, including making sure we maximize DBE participation on all our contracts, and we certainly have delivered on that. For federal fiscal year 2018, which ended on September 30th, 2018, nearly $165 million in FTA-funded contracts were awarded. Of that amount, $31 million in contracts were awarded to DBE firms. This represents a DBE achievement of 19% for the year. This is the first outreach event like this in New Jersey Transit has conducted in the past 10 years, and this will remain one of my key areas of focus as Executive Director. I want to thank our Assistant Executive Director of Projects and Strategic Development, Jeannie Kwan, and our Chief Civil Rights and Diversity Officer, Leota Sanders, for their respective teams for coordinating an incredibly successful event. And given the response we had, it certainly will not be our last. We're already discussing doing another large event before the close of this calendar year, so please stay tuned for further news on that. Also, in the last month, I'd like to focus on a couple of key new hires. As you've seen over the last few months, we've made a number of strategic hires, and this last month was no exception. Solid leadership in our organization is obviously critical to our success. With that, I'm happy to announce Rich Schaefer as our new Chief Engineer. Rich came on board last month. He spent more than 18 years at HNTB Corporation, most recently serving as AVP and Chief Bridge Engineer at HNTB. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from NJIT. We're also committed to optimizing our organization's use of current technology to increase efficiency, enable innovation, and, of course, to improve the customer experience. I'm pleased to welcome Lukman Fazal as our new Chief Information and Digital Officer, who also joined NJT this last month. There's Lukman back there. Thank you, Lukman. Lukman has had more than 20 years of information technology experience, most recently as the CIO of Argo TurboServe Corporation. Prior to that, Lukman worked with several Fortune 500 companies in various leadership roles. Lukman has a bachelor's degree in computer science and mathematics from Ramapo College, a master's degree in management from Stevens Institute of Technology, and a mini MBA for technology executives from Boston University. Lukman and Rich represent the experienced, high-caliber leaders that I'm excited to have on board to help continue to move our organization forward. Also, as some people may have noticed in the media, on March 14th, Governor Murphy toured the Emergency Operations Center, our EOC, in Maplewood. The governor was able to experience the war room atmosphere he had talked about, which is critical to how we share information across business lines and communicate to our customers. Having representatives in a unified location allows us to provide our customers with information and more timely, accurate at that. Our EOC representatives also go through a week-long incident management training program sponsored by the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service, or TEEX. This training is funded by Federal Homeland Security and is considered to be one of the best emergency and incident management training in the country. Last month, I, along with all of my direct reports, went through a condensed one-day executive-level emergency preparedness course conducted by instructors from TEEX, and it was incredibly valuable. The EOC also plays a vital role in how we operate during large-scale planned events and unplanned emergencies. Also, this week, we've hosted the American Public Transportation Association, well-known APTA, on their 14th National Light Rail and Streetcar Conference, held here in Jersey City, home of New Jersey Transit's Hudson Bergen Light Rail, or HBLR system. The conference was an opportunity to share best practices, exchange ideas, and network with worldwide leaders in this sector. Since the line opened in April 2000, the HBLR continues to represent one of the industry's most innovative light rail projects. It was the first modern U.S. transit system to be developed as a design, build, operate, maintain, DBOM, project model through a public-private partnership with 21st Century Rail Corporation. In September 2000, New Jersey Transit was awarded APTA's Innovation Award for use of the DBOM methodology. It is no coincidence that in the years since HBLR's launch, residential and commercial property development along the line has exploded, and HBLR's ridership is now at 15.5 million annual passenger trips, roughly 51,000 per weekday and growing. And of course, we are still working to expand that line with service west to new commercial and residential development near Route 440 along the Northern Branch Corridor project to ultimately extend the line into Bergen County. Speaking of HBLR, our first priority at New Jersey Transit is safety. On March 30th, the New Jersey Transit Police Department partnered with first responders from Bayonne and across Hudson County for a full-scale exercise on the HBLR system. The drill focused on an active shooter scenario on a light rail vehicle on the 8th Street station in Bayonne. In addition to the critical hands-on training, our officers had the opportunity to work side by side with our local partners, strengthening their relationships so the day ever come when they are called into action. We've seen time and again the bravery and heroism exhibited by the men and women of New Jersey Transit Police Department, and that's also a reflection on the department's leadership. I'd like to invite Police Chief Chris Trasillo to come up. Thank you, Chief. And Chief, I think you know when we, speaking of bravery, the story of rail signal maintainer Michael James is truly amazing. And I'll let Chief do the video, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you, Director, Commissioner, members of the board. It's an honor, Director, for me to talk about the thing I love to talk about the most, and that's the men and women of the New Jersey Transit Police Department, who I'm very proud of. You mentioned the exercise we had in Bayonne a couple weekends ago. That's the first of 5 full-scale exercises that we'll have across the state this year with partner agencies to test our preparedness and our readiness to deal with anything. But more importantly, it builds the relationships that are so critically important as we operate in communities around the state. And one of the other things we're concerned about is that the public understand that we, the New Jersey Transit Police Department, are humanized, and we're trying to do that more with the help of public affairs through our own social media accounts, through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our Nextdoor platform, where we communicate with people who live in and around our rail environment. I'd like to just point out the police officer. You know, it's amazing the hidden skills and talents that are within your midst that you don't realize you have. And we have that with police officer Walter Cook, who is to my right, who we found out is very skilled and talented in the world of social media. And I'd like to introduce a video now just to give everyone an example of police officer Walter Cook's work. Thank you very much, Director.
Yo, grab on the buoy. Sir? Alright, sorry, I'm gonna be jumping in. Each weekday, almost 930,000 customers utilize New Jersey Transit for transportation to get to work, to school, to shop, and much more. Ensuring the safety and security of those traveling across more than 7,000 square miles of New Jersey are members of the New Jersey Transit Police Department. The New Jersey Transit Police Department is the only transit police agency in the country with statewide authority and jurisdiction. New Jersey Transit Police officers exercise full police powers and duties in all criminal and other matters throughout the entire state. Every single day, transit police officers work to protect the New Jersey transit system, its customers, its employees, and everyone within the state of New Jersey. The work of New Jersey transit police officers hasn't always been widely noticed. Gone unnoticed were officers' actions that have saved lives, efforts made to keep people safe, lawbreakers apprehended, important public alerts, community outreaches, and charity events held by the department gained little attention until a little over 1 year ago. At that time, recognizing social media's critical role in today's world, the department was encouraged to use social media to expand communication with the public and to more broadly share who we are and the important job we do to keep the public safe each day. Now, the department maintains social media platforms, and through our social media accounts, we provide a constant sharing of information with the public. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Nextdoor, and most recently the department's own YouTube channel help us alert the public in real time of safety concerns, for community outreach and engagement, to solicit crime tips, and to quickly gather intelligence for investigations. The New Jersey Transit Police Department now reaches tens of thousands of social media users. The brief clip played at the start of this video, showing one of our officers risking his life to save a man in the Hudson River, is just one powerful example of how social media helps us reach the public. So far, the video has reached over 100,000 people. The posting of this video not only highlighted the officer and the police department, but it helped to raise suicide prevention awareness and provided contact information for suicide prevention resources. Social media also allows the department to share our extensive community outreach efforts and events with a much broader audience. From visiting schools and community events to participating with youth organizations, we share who we are and how much we care about the young people within the state we are sworn to protect. We enjoy encouraging the youth to make good decisions to ultimately make the best of their futures. Social media lets thousands more young people and adults see New Jersey Transit police officers at charitable campaigns, at toy drives such as the Hackensack Children's Hospital, at our annual participation in the New Jersey Special Olympics, and even as we reach out to the homeless. Social media supports and expands our crime suppression and public safety efforts as we educate New Jersey Transit customers as well as the general public on how to reduce their chances of becoming victims of crime and how to identify and report suspicious activity. Our posts provide important weather alerts and emergency preparedness information to increase awareness and public safety. These posts also highlight the outstanding jobs our officers do every day, from saving an ailing commuter's life by performing CPR and then driving the EMS vehicle to the hospital, to taking weapons and illegal drugs off the street and the transit system, to saving Christmas by arresting the Grinch just in time for the holidays. If you've not followed the New Jersey Transit Police Department on social media, you're missing out. Join us to see the many things we are doing to keep you safe.
Well, thank you, Chief, and I know many of our employees in the field, particularly rail and bus employees, always feel a lot safer knowing that our PD is out there behind, have their backs as well. As I start saying, speaking of bravery, another example is the story of rail signalman maintainer Michael James. Truly amazing, and shows the character of the people we have working here at New Jersey Transit, whether they're on or off duty. Michael, if you'd please come up. You got this. I would please come up. Diane, I don't know if you want to join us. I was going to say...
Ray Kenny and Fred Scolari, please join them for a photo opportunity.
I'll read the proclamation. I would say that Michael does have a Navy background. There's no bias in us giving him this proclamation, by the way, on that. Proclamation of recognition of Michael James. Whereas on March 4th, 2019, rail signal maintainer Michael James was off duty, driving with a friend in Belleville, New Jersey, when they became stuck in traffic on Route 21. And whereas after pulling on the side of the road and exiting their car, they noticed a vehicle that had run off the road and into the Passaic River. And whereas, as the car started to go underwater, they saw a woman standing on the trunk of the floating vehicle screaming that she could not swim. And whereas, without regard for his own safety, Michael James, a Navy veteran, was the only bystander to courageously jump into the freezing water and swim to the woman. And whereas Michael James was unable to bring the woman to shore because of the swift current and the woman's desperate attempt to stay above water, and whereas Michael James was able to secure the woman until first responders arrived and pulled them to safety with a rescue rope, and whereas Michael James and the woman were treated at the hospital for hypothermia and were released, now therefore be it resolved, we, the Board of Directors of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, Executive Director and employees do hereby recognize Michael for his bravery and heroic efforts. Michael? Marine, we just would have said he was crazy, but no, but being in the Navy, that we know he's actually great. Congratulations. And that, Chair, concludes my report.
Thank you, Kevin. It's nice to know there's still people in the world like that young man. Joyce, are there any comments from the public?
Yes, we have 6 speakers and also a group of 6 speakers on behalf of Mr. Grady. Speakers, in order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, comments will be limited to 5 minutes. And as is our protocol, if there are several people speaking on the same topic, 2 speakers will have 5 minutes to provide comments, and other speakers will have 2 minutes to provide comments. The first speaker is Carl Almeida.
It's working. Distinguished New Jersey Transit Board members, my name is Carlito Almeida. I'm a representative for the Senate Majority Leader, and I appear before you today on her behalf to follow up on questions the Senator had presented on March 13, 2019. In March, Senator Weinberg asked questions pertaining to New Jersey Transit's operating budget, operating costs for union contracts, loss of revenue drivers, TTF funding, Hudson Bergen light rail extension funding, quality of customer service, technological advances in buses, and busing policies like bunching. The board promised the Senator a prompt response, but our office has not received answers to the Senator's questions. Additionally, a follow-up letter was sent on March 27, 2019 to the Commissioner's Chief of Staff, the Executive Director of New Jersey Transit, as well as the board's clerk, but a response has not been received. I will read the Senator's letter to the board, but if anyone should want a copy, I have some available. Dear Commissioner Gutierrez Scasetti and Executive Director Corbett, I would like to follow up on the questions I had posed to the board at the meeting thereof on March 13, 2019. As I share then, I have concerns about the proposed state subsidy for New Jersey Transit and the governor's budget proposal for fiscal year 2020. The health of New Jersey Transit has been of great concern to the legislature, and I have spent considerable time working on this issue personally. This is not just because of our state's economic prospects are linked to the quality of our infrastructure, but because we have a duty to provide safe and quality service for our customers. I would appreciate any information you can provide on the following topics. New Jersey Transit has an operating budget of $2.45 billion and is slated to receive a $25 million increase in its subsidy from the state, only about a 1% total increase. Does this board believe the increase is adequate to continue service at current levels? Is this increase sufficient to improve service for your hundreds of thousands of daily bus and rail commuters? 2, isn't it true that New Jersey Transit's union contracts alone are going to increase costs next year by $50 million? Does New Jersey Transit have a plan to pay this new expense, or will New Jersey Transit be paying for contract increases with increased capital transfers? What funding or other resources can the legislature provide to aid New Jersey Transit in the coming fiscal year? Does New Jersey Transit require temporary additional funds given revenue losses from numerous cancellations and fare discounts? What resources does New Jersey Transit intend to put toward the northern extension for the Hudson Bergen light rail in fiscal year 2020? with $460 million in capital to operating transfers from the Transportation Trust Fund still going to operationalize maintenance. Will there be enough resources to make headway on capital projects like the Hudson Bergen Light Rail? 5, the New Jersey Transit Reform legislation, which was signed into law in December, created the new post of customer advocate. What actions have been taken to fill the post of customer advocate? Has anyone been selected? What is the search process? Lastly, I receive regular complaints from constituents about how long it takes to board buses with old-fashioned paper tickets and how delays often lead to bus bunching. Is New Jersey Transit working on any technological improvements to either fare collection or bus scheduling? Your prompt attention to this issue is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker.
Joyce, I appreciate you being here, and please let Senate Majority Weinberg leader know that she shall have those answers early next week.
All right. Thank you very much for your attention and for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Murray Bowden.
Kevin, one of the primary things you mentioned in your report was safety. The bottom line is safety. The MTA and New Jersey Transit share Penn Station. At the press conference today, they described the L Tunnel and the way they're moving forward with it. Originally, it was supposed to shut down for 18 months. They moved forward with a new way to do things, and they will not shut it at all. They figured that they would only have to do 40% of the bench wall to remove it. Today they announced that they've gotten even better technology to remove only 1% of the wall, meaning the challenges from the dust reduced to almost nothing. I've asked you to take one small step in changing the culture of New Jersey Transit. I've asked you, for safety reasons, to look at the railroad crossings where there are both flashing red lights and traffic lights, something that was developed 75, 50 years ago. What New York City Transit has done with the L train tunnel is look for new technology. There are rules that will have to be changed. There will be problems to be solved, but they're doing it. I've asked you, and there was an email about what I was going to say today, so this is no surprise to Kevin. I've asked you to attack the problem and change the problem and have only traffic lights so people would not be confused. That's a safety issue because if you see both of them at the same place, no necessity for it. Have you done anything? I guess not. That means, Diane, sorry. You need to get a new executive director for New Jersey Transit. This current executive director has no idea how the world has changed. He's using the same techniques they've used for the last 50 years. He's brought in the same consultants that are doing it the same way they did it 50 years ago. But the world changed, and he hasn't. You need new leadership here who recognizes, as they have at the MTA, that there are new ways, new technologies. And the publicity that he presented today, old hat. The kids, my grandson, understands it. 16-year-old high school student on the iRobotics team in Florida understands it. My generation doesn't for the most part. We have to get out of the way and let the kids take over. It's time. Kevin, you came from a different generation. That generation doesn't work anymore. It's time to let the new technologies take over. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is
The next speaker is me. Sorry,
Okay,
Joyce.
yes.
Murray, I appreciate your comments. Oftentimes I tell you that we don't sit at this dais and speak publicly because it's not our role as a board. But I'm going to take exception to your comments regarding Kevin and whether or not Kevin is capable. Kevin's more than capable of doing this job. A man who came in here and faced the challenges he's faced in what really turns out to be about 14 months is not deserving of such a quick evaluation. And so I appreciate your comments. You've made them to us before. We are embracing new technology, but this is an agency that, to a large extent, has to be rebuilt from the ground up, and we are doing that. And so for your grandchildren, who I hear about not only here but at the Turnpike Authority, we are working to be technologically current. It's going to take time, but Kevin certainly has my support in running the agency as he has been. Yes, we have tripped, there is no doubt, and we have fallen, but we keep getting ourselves back up because we're all committed. All of us are committed to restoring New Jersey Transit to the excellent agency it once was. But I do have to speak on Kevin's behalf, and I'm happy to talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you. The next speaker is Steve Thorpe.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, New Jersey Transit staff. Want to say good evening. I was looking to see some new faces here tonight, but I guess the Senate has to confirm those individuals. I want to say, that I'm going to really miss Flora. I think she's done a great job here in representing the constituents that she has, and I'm going to miss her. I really am going to miss her. I also take exception to what Murray said, and normally I don't speak about other speakers, but the exception that I take is about age. And I'm guessing I'm roughly around Murray's age, and I'm roughly around Mr. Corbett's age, and, I think we've got a lot to give. I don't think we should be pushed away into a museum someplace just yet. So those are my comments, and that's how I feel. I think Mr. Corbett has done a good job. I disagree with him in some things, but I think he's done a good job. I want to give the man credit for a real, the PTC thing was a huge challenge. Folks don't see what goes on back behind things and what that man has to go through every day. So until you've walked a mile in his shoes, I wouldn't be too critical of him. All right, what I came to talk about tonight was one thing, too, I want to mention before I forget. If you look where I'm sitting, where that monitor is, and the monitors are fantastic, but there's a light right there. And if you look up at that monitor, that light's coming right down in your eyes. So maybe that could either be toned down or something. That would help a lot. I want to talk tonight I want to give you a pat on the back. I think that this World Wrestling thing the other night was a boondoggle, but I don't want to blame you for it. I think that the blame goes to the WWE, and I'm pretty sure that after the sour experience that Transit had with the Super Bowl, I think you folks did your homework and did what you were supposed to do. The fact that they changed things in the middle of the game, the fact that engineers came out of service because of hours, and I'm very familiar with the hours of service law and how it works, they can't, if they're sitting in that locomotive, they have to stop it and sit there and wait to be released. So I give you a pat on the back. I think you did the best you could under the circumstances, because I was at the Super Bowl too. I want to speak mostly about two things, about the Raritan Valley one-seat ride and about the Lackawanna cutoff. The Lackawanna cutoff, as you probably know, is on the back, and it probably is the back burner. You have bigger fish to fry right now, and I understand that. But I've looked at some of the figures today on the website. The original project was costed out as $61 million, I think, in 2008. And there were supposedly $10,000 in fiscal 2019's budget and $8,844,000 in fiscal 2020's budget. I'd like to know where that $61 million's gone, because it looks like it's already been spent. I know that there's been some track work done. I know that there's been some road work done. I know they're working on the Roseville Tunnel. But I'm just curious to what's happening with this project, because I heard from somebody the other day, there's a fellow named Chuck Walsh who's done a lot of series of videos on the cutoff and is really anxious to get it restored. Pennsylvania just threw $750,000 into an engineering study for the other 21 miles from Andover to Slateford Junction. It'd be interesting to see what that study reveals and what needs to be done, but I know you're busy with other things, but it's something that I just wish you would keep an eye on because it's a concern of mine. If you look at Route 80, you'll see why there's a need for that. I want to talk about the Raritan Valley line because I don't want to miss that. I'm a resident of Winfield, and I'm equidistant between Linden and Cranford. I want to just hold up this as an exhibit. It's your public timetable for the Northeast Corridor line. And I know you can't see it from here, and maybe you haven't examined it, but let me just tell you, I didn't count the trains, but there is a huge amount of trains Monday to Friday, starting at about 4 o'clock in the morning and going till about 2 or 3 in the morning of the next day. So there's a lot of trains. These include, by the way, some of the short trains are on here also, so that's there. I want to hold up in comparison a Raritan Valley line timetable. This is the extent of weekday service on the Raritan Valley line. What you see here in these two panels that you're looking at. You can grab it. I can give it to you. You probably can get these materials very easily. But the point I'm trying to make is it's going to take a lot of work, but maybe if you folks in planning sharpened your pencils, you could find a way to give some of those seats to folks on the Raritan Valley line. I was at the meeting in Cranford the other day about Gateway and realizing that even though we might spend $17 billion on Gateway, that's not going to give anybody one more seat into New York. So I ask that you please examine this and sharpen your pencils. There is a way to get some one-seat rides into New York, and I know the Raritan Valley folks would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Thorpe. Because you raised it, I guess it's as good a time for us to give an acknowledgement to Flora. Flora told me that she celebrated her 20th anniversary with transit on March 22nd. And that's quite a record, I think, for a board member to serve a single agency for that many years. And so certainly you are correct, Mr. Thorpe. Flora will be missed, but Flora does a lot of good work in this industry, so she won't be far away. I can be pretty sure of that, and would like just to take a moment to congratulate her. And this isn't her last meeting, so we will see her again. And because you raised it, Mr. Thorpe, I'm going to take a moment to apologize to all of our customers that were impacted at the conclusion of WrestleMania on Sunday evening, April 7th. We are working with MetLife, our partners at MetLife Stadium, to refine our strategy in order to try to address these unforeseen circumstances or unexpected circumstances. But again, from the dais, from the board, we do want to make certain that we extend those apologies to those customers. With that, Joyce, please continue.
Okay, the next speaker is Sally Geller. That's okay.
Latest reference. Good evening. I'm Sally Geller, the Communications Director for the Lackawanna Coalition. This is a very special month for the Coalition. We're celebrating 40 years of service to the Raritan area and the communities. It was 40 years ago last night, April 9th, 1979, that our founders met for the first time. We held a members' dinner to observe the event, and we will have our public celebration at our regular meeting a week from Monday, April 22nd at Milburn Town Hall, 6:45 p.m. You are invited, and we hope that you will all come out and celebrate the special occasion with us. David Peter Allen, our chairperson since the year 2000, cannot be with us tonight. He planned for your morning schedule several months ago, and he had to leave on Amtrak for appointments out of town earlier today. He has shared information about some of the Coalition's most historic moments with me, and I would like to share them with you, and he sends his wishes to all of you. Our transit generally, especially our trains, were in a terrible state of uncertainty and disrepair 40 years ago. We never knew whether or not our trains would come for us, and it seemed that there would be no end in sight to the statewide mobility crisis. Visionaries, including Senator Frank Herbert and Commissioner Lou Gambaccini, both of whom we lost last year, did something about it. With the help of Governor Brendan Byrne, they got New Jersey Transit started as a bus company at first and as a railroad starting in 1983. The Lackawanna Coalition, named after our heritage railroad, the Lackawanna Railroad, brought together the riders and communities along the Morris and Essex line, including Gladstone and the old Montclair branches, to keep our trains running and to advocate for better service in the future. We were there during the long electrification of our lines, finally completed in 1984. We fought to regain the service we had lost during the period, and we succeeded. We pushed for Midtown Direct Service, which opened in 1996, giving our constituents direct service to Penn Station, New York, in addition to historic Hoboken service. Property values in our towns appreciated, and our constituents appreciated their new mobility too. For 23 years, we advocated relentlessly for the Montclair connection, which was proposed in 1929, 50 years before our founding, but did not open for service until 2002. For the first time in 34 years, trains outside peak commuting hours took riders to and from Montclair. Today, we continue to advocate for better weekend service on that line, and we expect that someday it will be a reality. Since that time, we expanded our purview to include the entire Montclair-Boonton line, and we also advocate for those communities and their riders. We expanded again to include riders on all connecting transit, so we are concerned with transit of all modes in North and Central Jersey and New York City because our constituents go to all those places. We helped to kill a project that had wide political and economic support, the deep cavern dead end that the ARC project had become. It would have been a disaster, requiring all of our riders to take an extra 7 minutes just to get to the street, as they would have been evicted from the convenience of Penn Station. Today, we remain concerned about mobility across the Hudson, so we continue to push for useful tunnels now and an affordable alternative to Gateway, which is so expensive that it will never be built, as planned. There is not enough local money, there's not enough federal money to add up to the estimated cost, which is now ranging between $30 and $33 billion. Our constituents need bridges that work and that we can afford. They need tunnels that take them to Penn Station, not to a new terminal of little benefit. We need the tunnels we have now to be repaired, not to be left for years while huge firms figure out how to waste scarce dollars that none of us can spare. We have always appreciated the opportunities to work with New Jersey Transit Management for the benefit of our riders, such as when we worked together to make sure that Morris County M&E riders had a bus to get them to a later connection when their last train from Dover was removed from the schedule. That's out of cooperation and works for everybody's benefit. We appreciate the managers and other employees at New Jersey Transit who have demonstrated genuine concern for our riders and a willingness to work with us in advancing the goal of better mobility. We also look forward to celebrating New Jersey Transit's own anniversary in a couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Bruce Bergen.
Commissioner, board members, executive director, good evening. My name is Bruce Bergen, and I'm chairman of the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition. I want to raise a couple of new issues before I get on to some of the old issues. Specifically, the new institution of congestion pricing by the city of New York, I would suggest is, and this is not new, very problematic for all of New Jersey commuters, because I would suggest it's going to bring more riders to the trains and to the buses and just make the current system even more problematic than it currently is. I also want to reference the recent ridership survey that came out, which indicated that there was an expansion of ridership on almost every line except the Raritan Valley line. And I would suggest that that's not surprising in light of the suspension of the one-seat ride. But I think it is a problem, and it just makes even clearer how important it is to reinstate that and expand it as soon as we can. I want to go back to a couple issues I think I mentioned last month. One is the attempt to have the trains that aren't going to New York City but ending in Newark, how the crossover to a New York train be on the same platform as the train that comes in from the Raritan Valley line. This, of course, would be of great assistance to our riders. It's not a one-seat ride, but it certainly makes the transition easier. And one of the things that came to mind was that And I know not every train is going to be able to do that. There are some logistic problems. But we don't really have any statistics on how many trains are on the same platform, how many aren't. And I would suggest that it would be helpful not only to the riders, but to the agency to keep some statistics on that and maybe issue a report monthly or quarterly, something to that effect. So at least we have some yardstick about what's going on with that issue. Also, I mentioned the suggestion that we have more regular service to Hoboken from the Raritan Valley line. I hope that that is under consideration and that can take place. Also, we've had, over the course of time, quarterly meetings between our organization and representatives of transit, and I'm hoping we can get our next quarterly meeting scheduled fairly soon. There are issues floating around, and we would like an opportunity to sit down with your staff and talk about those. And finally, the one-seat ride, which I talk about every month. What I suggested last month was that in the absence of an ability to give us a date when one-seat ride will be reinstated, that instead there at least be broader communication with the public as to where that process is and what's holding it up, when you might be able to give us a date. And unless I've missed it, I haven't really seen any particular new information on that. And I would once again suggest that it would be of assistance to our riders and show some communication from transit to try and get more of that information out to the public. So I urge you to do that. And once again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Joe Clift.
Good evening. Ms. Castillo, I guess we'll see you for a couple more months. That's great. So you're working on your 21st year. That's great. Mr. Almeida, I think your questions are really, oh, he's left. Okay. But I think those questions are really good. I think they need to be answered. And it would be nice if the public could see those posted once you do answer those. Back to the senator, that you put them out on the internet. And Chief Trujillo, there's a big issue for me with police, New Jersey Transit Police. They don't have peace officer status in New York State. And what's the biggest station New Jersey Transit serves? Penn Station, New York. So I urge both this group and also the legislature, the governor, to work on that, because that you have very few Amtrak cops on the New Jersey Transit side. And you really need them. The Long Island Railroad has lots of cops. New Jersey Transit has none. Amtrak has very few. And on the Raritan Valley line, I went to the Raritan Valley Coalition meeting 2 weeks ago now, I think. And I said $17 billion for the first phase of Gateway will get you not one more peak hour train. You don't have a one-seat ride for the conceivable future. So it's infinity at this point. It needs to change. And I have a handout. A lot of you have it, and I urge you to look at the back 2 pages. They are 2 editorials from the New York Daily News that I think are right on. And also in here is my statement to the Gateway Board last Tuesday. After that meeting, there was a real push by reporters to find out what was going on with cable racking, not with the Canarsie tunnels, but with the Hudson tunnels. They had 20% of the damage of the Canarsie tunnels, and there was a push. And fortunately, all 3 trustees of the Gateway Development Corporation are now on the record saying, we're going to look at that, we're going to look at that hard. And also the New York trustee finally admitted that the tunnels are not going to collapse. This is a fantasy. But there are issues, obviously, with the quality of the cables in there that need to be looked at. My main point today is on the front of my handout, and Murray stole my thunder. Today at a press conference, the MTA chairman, Pat Foy, said, we're not going to cut the bench wall demolition by 40 or 50%. We're going to cut it by 99%. And what I have on here is a week ago, last Monday, Pat Foy's comments about the L-train plan and the fact that you have this transportation industrial complex that has beefed up these projects to a fare thee well, so they're expensive but do very little. And the proof of this is the Columbia Cornell team coming in, identifying modern methods. These companies could do it since they're international, but coming in and suggesting a more modern way to fix the problem with the tunnels. And what do you have? You have 1% of the work to restore the bench walls, a lot less air quality problems, and there is a need for New Jersey Transit to get on board with this perspective. You cannot stay the way you are, which is trusting these big corporations to have your interests at heart, the taxpayers and the riders. The reality is they have their interests at heart, and there's a real need to look at that. And I urge you, you really need, and I guess this is a little bit of what Murray talked about, my generation, our generation, there's a new generation, but everybody needs to look at modern methods. And the Hudson tunnels, $15 billion, all so you can repair 2 old tunnels. Somebody comes along and says there's a better way to do it without taking them out of service. That entire $15 billion plan is down the tubes completely, isn't needed. Portal Bridge, you want to spend $4 billion on the 2 Portal Bridge replacements, and you have a boat round trip up the Hackensack River and down every 6 weeks. Now, who's running the show here? Is it the people working for the taxpayers and the riders, or the people working for the big industrial interests? And I'm not a socialist, but I got to say, in this case, there are real problems with the system. You have a cartel that is controlling the way things work. And I urge you to pay attention to what's happening. Talk to Pat Foy. Look at what's going on with the Canarsie project. And you can do a lot better. You can do a lot more with a lot less money. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a group of 6 speakers on behalf of Russell Grady. The group has elected to have the first and last speaker provide comments for 5 minutes. All other speakers will have 2 minutes to provide comments. The first speaker is Errol Kerr.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Executive Director, good evening. I want to say thank you to the members of the board for giving us, the public, this opportunity to come before you and address the issues that affects us as members of the public. There is absolutely no magic here this evening. We have been doing this now for the past 2 years. However, this month marked an additional month to the painful addition to 15 years of injustice for Mr. Russell Grady by this New Jersey Transit Board. Mr. Grady, in 2004, was inconsiderately uprooted from a thriving business. And this was done by the New Jersey Transit. Since 2004, Mr. Grady been begging, politely asking, gently prodding this board for some sense of resolution to this issue. But it seems that all of his appeals, all of our appeals have fallen on deaf ears. Now, I just can imagine each day when Mr. Grady gets up and get into the routine of his day and think about where he would be today had it not been that New Jersey Transit took away from him the ability to create for himself and his family. It's very disquieting. And problem that I have is that you come here month after month and you really don't feel connected. Sometimes you wonder if the board is really hearing our voices. Are we really getting through? That's a problem. And someone just argued about the issue of communication. I think the board needs to extend itself. Let us get the sense that you're listening to us and you would like to even empathize with us. But we are not getting that from you. I sat there and this evening, a member of the board was something was not kindly presented about that person. And a member of the board said, no, that's not acceptable. I want the same kind of treatment back on this side. The board is put into position to fix problems, not to have problems extended by its actions. And I think this board, not the members of who's sitting here, but the board per se, have extended Mr. Grady's situation over the period of about 10 years. I think you have the power to change things. I've made that statement many times I'm here. You have the power to change things. So if you have the power to change things, why not do it? Why not do it? Why have this gentleman coming here month after month without no sense of justice? I appeal to this board today. I hope today, finally, you're listening. And I hope by next month, we will hear something different. So at least we know that justice is being done. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jamie Bland.
Good evening, board. I'm here just to actually go over 14 to 15 years of trying to get justice. We're dealing with the man that is a A-list businessman. He has proven to have pride and dignity. He was railroaded out of his business, and you guys have all of that information. You've also had several meetings, and I don't even know if this is the same board, but I know that you have access to the information that has been provided. So what I really want you to do is to take this situation seriously. I need you to think of it as if this was somebody that was your family, somebody that was a close friend to you. And I need you to understand that your job is to make sure that you do the right thing. You are leaders. You're sitting in a leadership position before us. And for somebody to be railroaded out of their business and then have to even pay rent 2 consecutive years without occupying the property is totally wrong. It's a no-brainer. So what I think that you really need to do is take about an hour, if you haven't done it already, and go over the facts again. I need you to take this home with you and review. After 15 years of struggling, trying to get someone to hear and understand that we need justice for Mr. G. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Bernard Hill.
I've just been instructed by good morning, good afternoon, and again, we've been here so many different times in the day, and we've never failed to come before you with this same news, but with no results. In the beginning, there was life for Mr. G. Granted a dream, as in the expertise that he's in. Through the city of Patterson, from my eyes, I watched this gentleman flourish as a father figure, entrepreneur, giving spirit, and to be able to still thrive with dignity, to come before you in status of asking you to do what's right within justice for Mr. Russell Grady. It is pertinent that we must take a look at the justice that he needs to continue his dream. To rob another person's dream is totally wrong. As if it was your mother or your father or someone that you were very dear to. This man is a very powerful individual. And we were all given gifts through and by watching him. So we're asking you to do what's right for Mr. Russell Grady. You know the story. Let's do it now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Winnie Harrison.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Board. There's a lot has been said in reference to Mr. Grady, but most important is things needs to be resolved. And I see that one of the persons just came on the board this year, and then someone was on the board for 20 years. Once you look at all the paperwork, once you look at the struggle, once you see that he's been railroaded and how he has been manipulated into agreeing to what was on paper, believing that y'all was going to do the right thing, here we are now, 15 years later, fighting a struggle. We always say, look at it as your father, your mother, your sister and brother. Look at it as if it was yourself. If you look within yourself, would you want this to happen to you? Would you want to be out of thousands and thousands of dollars, or your dream defer from what you wanted to be? He did start an establishment in Patterson, but his goal was for Atlantic City. We did the walkthrough. It is beautiful. And I'm quite sure it would have been greater because the establishment would have been there. He has given a lot of his time and a lot of the struggle. And for 2 years, you have seen multiple people come down here to represent him because he's a man of integrity. He's a man of stability. He's a man that believes that New Jersey Transit will do the right thing. We will stand with him, but we just believe in God that this will be our last time coming here. We believe in God that there will be a resolution. We believe in God that y'all will look within yourself and find the correct answer for him. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Donna Ivy.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Executive Director, and Board. Thank you for this opportunity once again to come before you and speak on behalf of our friend and our family. You know, family of the oranges. That's who we are, right? We're here, and we're here in support of Mr. G. I've been coming about a year, just about a year, and I've learned a lot of things. But one of the things that I was sitting there and I was kind of pondering on, reflecting on, is the fact that my first time coming here, I was heated. I was heated. I was like fired up, you know. It's like, we got to do this thing. We got to get this thing going. Mr. G, it needs to be, he can't be made whole again, but fair, justice, fair, treated fairly in his plight. But I've cooled down. There's a different feel about this evening for me, and I don't know if you all are feeling it, but I think you all have been moved. I think you all are making the recommendations. I think you all are moving in the right direction. I just got this feeling, so I'm not so heated because I think it's going to come to a conclusion. I think it's going to come to a positive conclusion on behalf of Mr. G and his family. Not the orange shirt family, his blood relatives that have watched him go through this and be torn up for the last 15 years. I just have this feeling, and call it the spirit, because that's what I call it. I have the spirit of me that is saying, this is going to be resolved. You guys do know what's going on, and you guys are in favor of supporting him. I just know it in my heart. So God bless you all. Thank you for this opportunity. And if we don't come back anymore, we're going to miss you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Russell Grady.
Good evening, Board. I'm Russell Grady, and once again, I come before you. First of all, I'd like to thank all the people who come out month after month to support me in what I call a struggle. But I reached a point now that, and maybe I should have asked the question earlier, because I'm not sure that both sides of the story have been told other than when we come before you here. And I appreciate all the speakers who come and appeal to you to be fair and just and to do the right thing. But in order for you to understand what you are faced with, understand this issue, this dispute, somebody would have had to take you back to 2004 and given you all the facts going forward to 2007. Then you would understand why we are coming here. You understand why I'm here talking about justice. Because that was a decision made. Something happened. And this powerful organization, for some reason I still don't have the answer, saw it fit to just destroy a successful African-American business. And we have so few of those, so few. Why is it that you had to railroad me out of my business? I had a 20-year lease there, and I've said this over and over again. Based on your RFP. I spent all that money. Beautiful building, operated, did everything. Poster child, did everything right. How did I go from October 2004 to 2007 and be totally destroyed? I don't know if the people who represent you have presented to you the facts of what happened in 2004 and what happened going forward to 2007. If they only talk to you about 2007, then in your mind you might be saying, what is he coming here for? We don't deserve anything, or he don't deserve anything. But in order to understand the whole story, you got to start with 2004 and look at the events as they went forward. I don't know why, but this company, public company, powerful company, used some of the most unfair, unjust methods and destroying my business. That still puzzles me. As a African-American vendor, I was no great threat to you, but yet you saw fit to use unfair tactics to get rid of me. It cost me a lot of money. And somewhere down the line, you don't feel, I don't think you feel, because we've been coming down here for over 2 years, that you're responsible for the damage that was done. Financially, millions of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating, I don't exaggerate. Physically and mentally, you know it must have been devastating to me and my family. I had 2 daughters that went to school, got an education. They both are attorneys and chiropractic doctors, and we had put together an organization where we were going to go forward. I was going to be their leader. We was going to go forward and do great things. New Jersey Transit came along and destroyed all those hopes and all those dreams. They are succeeding, but not to the extent that they would have if I hadn't been faced with the injustice that was put on me and my family and my business. So we've been coming here faithfully for the last 2 years, hoping that the people who represent you have brought you the right statistics, the right I'm sorry, that's a short 5 minutes. But let me say this. Let me say this. We've been coming here. We have patience, but somewhere down the line it becomes extremely unfair for us to keep coming down month after month. If there's information that you need that you don't have to make a decision, then ask me for it. I would love to meet with this board and tell my side of the story and show you the numbers and the statistics that is part of this issue. And what I'm saying to you is don't keep us coming down here. Make a decision, whether it's positive or negative. Make a decision so we'll know what we have to deal with. I appreciate all of you. I believe you're honest, good-hearted people. And I believe I have some feeling of what you're up against, trying to run an organization this complex and this large. And my last statement would be this. Make a decision, be fair and be just. And please don't get rid of your executive director, because I don't want to start all over again trying to convince him that it should be justice for me. I'm not bitter, because I'm not, in my heart, I'm not a bitter person. I would never be bitter with any of you people there, because I know you have your own problems, your own things you have to do. But let's get it off here. We've been out here for over 2 years. Let's make a decision so we can move on. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you. There are no further speakers.
Thank you, Joyce. Suzanne Mack will now present the Advisory Committee report.
Is this on? Yeah. Good evening, board members. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and also it is a pleasure to be able to ditto all of the speakers in their respect and their admiration for Flora Castillo and her deep and pervasive devotion to New Jersey Transit over the past 20 years. I think I only beat you coming to meetings. So, I wanted to say this to all of you, though, because we're moving towards a new board. That we do have a new board coming on. Everyone who sits at that table deserves respect, and you do a wonderful job. You come here, you're committed. Whether you represent the government or whether you represent the unions or whether you represent the public members, and also always to the chair, who has such a huge responsibility, not only running New Jersey Transit, but New Jersey DOT. They were very smart when they figured that out. Lou Gambacini did a good thing. But it's really a daunting responsibility, and you do it so well. You do it with respect, and I do believe that you hear everything that's said. Unfortunately, having sat on that side of the aisle on other boards, once you cross that line, you have all sorts of different responsibilities, and certainly from the issue at the Meadowlands the other evening, nobody wanted to go home late. Nobody wanted, as Steve mentioned, after Sandy and after all the other things that have happened, nobody wants things to go wrong, and I really do think that the commissioner's apology to the public, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't anybody at New Jersey Transit's fault. It's just things that happen, and unfortunate, and I think the riders will appreciate that you can't drop 12,000 people out 2.5 hours late and expect that everything's going to go normal. So I hope it is appreciated, that because whenever I come here, I hear sincerity from that side of the board, and I think Steve said it really well when he said, well, and also Mr. G said it, we don't want the executive director to go anywhere. Flora, you can retire and go on and do everything at APTA and do all those good things that you do, but we need the team to work on. We need the team to work on the progress that you have made. I will go back and ditto what Joe Cliff said, because the advisory board does talk about these things, offline. Congestion pricing in New York. Okay, so Governor Cuomo's got an idea that he's going to make money to salvage the MTA. Well, let's get some money and do the same thing, because regardless of the progress that the new executive team and the new governor has made, it still comes down to the fact that we still need a budget that can support the activities and the change. You have a strategic plan. You're working really, really well, but 4 years in, of 8 years, we will still be talking about the problems that we have if we can't find a solution to some dedicated funding. And for somebody who has been here, just double the number of years that Flora has been here, there were times when you could, and Commissioner, and yourself from when you were at the Turnpike Authority, what you can do when there's funding and what you can't do when there's funding. So I believe that, everyone at the table, with you leaving, not this month, but with you leaving, it's an opportunity to reflect on the role of the board, your board, and what wonderful people. I think you only served a little less than John McGoldrick, so you get that, and so you had a wonderful mentor there too. But I wanted to thank you for your service. I want to thank the current board, executive director. You can't go anywhere. Nobody can go anywhere. So you might have to widen the table a little more with the new members coming on. And I hope that in that vein, since at Transaction, which is, the premier convention of the year coming up, I would just like to say that we have our joint meeting with South Jersey. I know it's a wonderful day because there's so much activity and so much focus on transit during that convention. But I also hope that after the governor has now moved to fill the positions on New Jersey Transit, I hope he'll remember that he also should fill our positions, because we need members. We need to be a full complement. But having said that, I wanted to thank you for something that maybe people don't realize. But since the new legislation went into effect, the new situation where the advisory boards now comment on service changes has gone into effect, and I was very pleased to have my counterpart, Anna Marie Ganella from South Jersey, say, it's in North Jersey, so you take care of it. I'm going to say the same thing to her on the South Jersey things, but we did go over that. And I had really a very interesting opportunity to read all the transcripts and comments on the Hudson Bergen line disruption, which is going to take 9 months. Too long, of course, but since I was part of building Hudson Bergen Light Rail, I was like, I always said when we built that what happens if something breaks? and unfortunately, the West Side branch will have to be shut down in order to do that improvement, which will be a terrible disruption. I just took the light rail from Bayonne to 48th Street in Union City, so I just, I'm very aware. And somebody said, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "Well, because I like doing that." But I sound like Jeff Marinoff now. I like riding the trains. But I just wanted to thank you all, and it is an opportunity to remind us all of the good service that all of you, the commissioners, give to New Jersey Transit. And I hope I see some of you in Atlantic City this week.
Thank you very much. Board Member Castillo will present the Operations and Customer Service Committee report and the Administration Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for those comments. I appreciate that. And Suzanne and Steve, I appreciate your remarks as well. The Operations and Customer Service Committee received an update on operations and customer service trends, analysis, and actions for rail, bus, and light rail. Our committee also received an update on social media activities and on Access Link operations and customer service trends. Additionally, the committee received an update on the cost of service for bus, light rail, and Access Link. I'll move to my Administration Committee report, which received a financial update. This included an update on fiscal year and year-over-year operating results, budget to actual comparisons of revenue and expenses, and major operating results. In addition, the committee received an update on headcount, vacancies, and hiring. The update also included a review of major balance sheet items such as changes in working capital, outstanding debt, and accounts payable. We also received an update on ridership levels as well as revenue and a real estate and economic development highlights. Lastly, Madam Chair, our committee also received an update on from Leo, who, Kevin, you mentioned that we had a DBE activity several weeks ago, and it was the first time in 10 years that this happened. So I know this is an issue very close to my heart, so I appreciate your leadership, Kevin, and the fact that we had a full house. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I also would like to comment on the DBE fair, the activity that was here a couple of weeks ago. I had the pleasure to join the African American Chamber of Commerce this morning down in Voorhees, and they received great praise. You at Transit, Kevin, and your team for the work that was done, the hands-on approach, the interaction that was occurring, and it was really a very nice kind of unexpected comment from the team that was there. So kudos to you and your staff for your continued hard work in that regard. I'll go ahead and present the Capital Planning, Policy, and Privatization Committee report. We discussed the following items: the facility inspection and condition assessment services for 2019 and 2020, engineering and construction assistance for the replacement of the undergrade bridge over Mill Road on the New Jersey Transit Morristown line, Superstorm Sandy Recovery and Resiliency Program, Integrity Oversight Monitoring Service Contract, proposed temporary discontinuance of service on Hudson Bergen Light Rail, Regulation NJAC 16:74, New Jersey Transit Procedure for Claims of Destructive Competition, Regulation NJAC 16:75, New Jersey Transit Bus Allocation Program Guidelines and Procedures, Regulation NJAC 16:76, Private Carrier Capital Improvement Program Guidelines and Procedures, and Regulation NJAC 16:85, New Jersey Contracting Out Policies and Procedures, and that concludes the report. At this time, would Executive Director Corbett present the action items?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd now like to introduce Eric DeLeo, Assistant Executive Director, Capital Planning and Programs, present Board Item 1904-15. Eric?
Thank you, Director, Madam Chair, board members. We are recommending approval of item 1904-15, Facility Assessment Services for 2019 and 2020. Authorization is requested to enter into contract number 19-019 with Gannett Fleming Incorporated of Newark, New Jersey for the provision of facility inspection and condition assessment services for various New Jersey Transit facilities, including bus garages, system shops, rail stations, and other locations as required, in an amount not to exceed $2,057,009.21, plus 5% for contingencies, subject to the availability of funds. Authorization of this item will allow New Jersey Transit to take the necessary steps to meet federal requirements and put into place a cycle of regular facility inspections, condition assessments, and reporting for all of its facilities. We ask your approval of item 1904-15.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, I'd now like to ask Ray Kenny, Senior Vice President, General Manager for Rail Operations, to come up, present item 1904-16 regarding the Mill Road Bridge.
Thank you, Director, and the Chair, and to the Board. We are recommending approval of item 1904-16, Engineering and Construction Assistance for the replacement of undergrade bridge 41.29 over Mill Road on the NJ Transit Morristown line. Authorization is requested to enter into NJ Transit contract number 18-002 with Greenman Pedersen Incorporated of Lebanon, New Jersey, to perform engineering and construction assistance for the replacement of undergrade bridge 41.29 over Mill Road on the NJ Transit Morristown line in Wharton, New Jersey, at a negotiated cost not to exceed $1,091,506.54, plus 5% for contingencies, subject to the availability of funds. Additional funding for construction assistance will be determined at a later date after the 100% design is completed. The existing steel bridge was built in 1923 and supports both passenger and freight trains on Morristown line between Mount Arlington and Dover train stations. The future replacement of undergrade bridge 41.29 over Mill Road will ensure long-term public safety and reliable train service. So we ask for approval of item 1904-16.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve board item 1904-16?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, I'd now like to introduce John O'Hearn, the Auditor General, to present Board Item 1904-17 regarding integrity oversight monitoring. John?
We are recommending approval of item 1904-17, Superstorm Sandy Recovery and Resiliency Program, Integrity Oversight Monitoring Services Contracts, exercise final 2-year option period. Authorization is requested to exercise the final 2-year option period under item 1405-19 and extend contracts number 14-033A with Cone Resnick, contract number 14-033B with Eisner Amper, contract number 14-033C with RSM, contract number 14-033D with Thatcher Associates, and we're going to extend these contracts through July 15th of 2021. There shall be no change to the previously approved total authorization of $15 million. Authorization of this item will provide the required oversight to detect, prevent, and deter potential criminal activity and fraud, waste, and abuse in the New Jersey Transit Resiliency Program for contract awards of $5 million or more. We ask your approval of item 1904-17.
Thank you, John. May I have a motion to approve Board Item 1904-17?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? Joyce, roll call, please.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. I'd now like to introduce Ron Nichols, Acting Chief Light Rail and Contract Services, to present Board Item 1904-18 regarding Hudson Bergen Light Rail.
Thank you, Kevin. We are recommending approval of item 1904-18, proposed temporary discontinuance of service on Hudson Bergen Light Rail. Authorization is requested to take all actions necessary to temporarily discontinue the West Side branch of the Hudson Bergen Light Rail service effective June 1st, 2019, to accommodate Jersey City Municipal Utility Authority's emergency underground utility repair work. The emergency underground utility repair work excavation site west of Martin Luther King Station requires removal of New Jersey Transit substation that provides power along the entire West Side branch, resulting in no power to operate vehicle movement and station amenities. New Jersey Transit has developed an alternative bus service plan to the 3 affected stations, as well as operating between stations. We ask your approval of item 1904-18.
May I have a motion to approve Board Item 1904-18? So moved. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield? Yes. Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great. Ron, you're on a roll. If you'd be so good as to go ahead with the next item, 1904-19, regarding regulation rulemaking process.
Okay. We are recommending approval of item 1904-19, regulation initiate rules-making process, NJAC 16:74, New Jersey Transit Procedure for Claims of Destructive Competition. Authorization is requested to initiate the rules-making process as a step towards effectuating the readoption of and proposing amendments to the regulation NJAC 16:74, Procedure for Claims of Destructive Competition. This regulation establishes the rules and regulations regarding procedures for hearings of claims of destructive competition arising from alleged actions by New Jersey Transit, which are brought by private entities providing motor bus regular route service. We ask your approval of item 1904-19.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And now I'd like Ron to present 1904-20, another one of the items on the rulemaking process.
We are recommending approval of item 1904-20, regulation, initiate rules-making process of NJAC 16:75, New Jersey Transit Bus Allocation Program Guidelines and Procedures. Authorization is requested to initiate the rules-making process as a step towards effectuating the readoption of and proposing amendments to the regulation NJAC 16:75, Bus Allocation Program Guidelines and Procedures. This regulation governs New Jersey Transit's leasing of buses to private motor bus carriers for the sole purpose of operating regular route bus services. Authorization of this item will advance efforts to enhance the guidelines and procedures. We ask your approval of item 1904-20.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, Ron, we're almost there. Now, if you could do 1904-21, another rulemaking item.
We are recommending approval of item 1904-21, regulation, initiate the rules-making process, NJAC 16:76, private carrier capital improvement program guideline and procedures. Authorization is requested to initiate the rules-making process as a step towards effectuating the readoption of and proposing amendments to the regulation NJAC 16:76, private carrier capital improvement program guidelines and procedures. This regulation governs New Jersey Transit's procurement of capital maintenance improvements and support equipment to private motor bus carriers for the operation of regular route bus service. Authorization of this item will advance efforts to enhance the guidelines and procedures. We ask your approval of item 1904-21.
May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Cachetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And before I ask Ron to present the last item, I should make the last item, which is also a rule-making one, would like to just point out thank the staff. It's tremendous, this may be very dry material, but tremendous amount of work went in by staff to change a lot of rules and so that we could become more efficient and effective in the job. So it may be dry, but these are important actions that we're taking. With that, Ron, would you like to present the last one for tonight, 1904-22?
Thank you. We are recommending approval of item 1904-22, regulation initiating rules-making process, NJAC 16:85, contracting out policies and procedures. Authorization is requested to initiate the rules-making process as a step towards effectuating the readoption of and proposed amendments to the regulation NJAC 16:85, contracting out policies and procedures. One of the ways by which New Jersey Transit fulfills this responsibility to provide a coherent public transportation system is by reviewing opportunities to contract out its regular route bus services in order to reduce the cost of providing such services. Authorization of this item will advance the efforts and enhance the guidelines and procedures. We ask your approval of item 1904-22.
May I have a motion to approve board item 1904-22?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Joyce, please take roll.
Roll call vote. Chair Gutierrez Cachetti?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Castillo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Joyce. Since there is no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the board meeting?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.